Apple's VR/AR headset is quite impressive and also getting memed on pretty hard right now. So while the success or failure of this headset is still to be determined, I'll be pointing out a few challenges that Apple has to overcome. This is a very niche product. Will Apple be able to get enough developers in order to make proper third-party software? Will there be future accessories, particularly something to give your hands some type of feedback when you interact with objects within the headset? How long will it take to load up various software? That is the main reason why I stopped using my Quest 2. So I'll be covering a bunch of different things in this video, and there are timestamps below in case you're interested in just jumping around and checking out something in particular. First of all, the software problem for this headset, it's a very niche, a very expensive product, and if we look at something like the iPad, the main reason why the iPad really hasn't taken over, I mean, it's this small, very powerful, thin device. The big reason why it hasn't taken over is that there's not enough good quality third-party software to justify using it, or to be able to really properly use it instead of just having a laptop or a full desktop. So will Apple actually be able to get the developers? Because if there's no proper software for this headset, then it doesn't really make sense to buy it, and you have to look at it from the perspective of the developers as well. Will you go develop for this headset that might sell like 1 million units, for instance? Or will you just go create and spend your time on making a mobile app where literally everyone has a mobile device? Like literally people in third-party countries that live in huts, a lot of them actually have like cheap Android mobile devices as well. So the user base there is a lot bigger than what it is probably going to be for this, because you really need that third-party software, like some proper 3D modeling software, for instance. So somebody who models 3D models will actually be able to put on the headset and actually check it out. And Apple is creating a whole new section to their ecosystem. So the Oculus or Meta's headsets and Windows Virtual Reality, so all of those solutions already have a ton of software options in terms of games. So how easy will it be to port over that software to this Apple headset? Because if it's very easy, then Apple could all of a sudden have a gigantic software library. But if it's not, why would you really bother as a developer if the user base for this thing might not be that high? Next up is the user problem. So there is a reason why Meta has not been developing these crazy high-end expensive VR experiences, because they could actually do something very similar to this, but they choose not to. And the main reason is pretty much user acquisition. Obviously, if you sell a headset for like $300 instead of like $3,000, you're going to be able to get a lot more users with the $300 option. And the main thing is you actually need users to use the headset so that there's actually enough of an incentive for developers to spend their time developing for all of these people. So I don't know, hopefully Apple comes out with a cheaper version in the future just so they can have as many users as possible. Next up is the comfort, which is a pretty big deal with these things because you just wear them on your face. Now Apple, in their typical Apple fashion, has made this out of very nice premium materials. However, that's also just not the best, because this thing is made out of metal and glass. It's a lot heavier than if it would be made out of plastic like the Quest 2. Apple did a similar thing with their professional metal headphones, but there is a reason why high quality companies like Sennheiser use so much plastic, because it basically makes it lighter, and if something's going to be sitting on your head, you want it to be pretty light. Also, I wonder how they are going to be dealing with the fog that you get on the lenses of these headsets, because that is really one of the major issues with these things. For instance, the Quest 2, the big problem is not really its low resolution, but it's the fact that the lenses just get fogged up, and then you just lose so much resolution for that because, I mean, they're fogged up. Next up is the loading time, which really is the main reason why I just stopped bothering using this headset, because first of all, these things aren't something that you're gonna want to set up and put on for a few hours. This is more of something that you just jump into for like half an hour, maybe an hour, because at that point it starts getting very uncomfortable, it starts getting hot. And the main problem with this thing is if I just wanted to jump into a game of Beat Saber, it takes like 5 to 10 minutes to set it up, which is very annoying. And that's a very big issue. If you just look at something like Grand Theft Auto Online, a lot of players don't play that game because it takes so long to load in there. If you take something like Fortnite, for example, you can launch Fortnite, get into a game, do a hot drop, kill a few people, get killed yourself, and return to the lobby while someone might still be loading into Grand Theft Auto Online. So load times are very important, especially for something like the VR headsets, or else it's like, why would you even just bother? It's like So hopefully Apple software is going to be pretty good in terms of the loading time. Next up is the battery life, which is very awful on Apple's headset. However, they have a removable battery. The battery is literally not in the headset. It literally just connects via a wire to your headset, and then you just wear it on yourself, which I would say makes a ton of sense because now you don't have to deal with this weight of the battery on the headset. Not to mention, okay, sure, the battery life is 2 hours, but now you can literally get bigger batteries, and you can also just sort of swap the batteries as they drain out. So I would say, as far as the headset goes, the fact that it has this removable external battery that you can just put in like a belt and wear it, I think this is really great. And I honestly think everyone should just do something like this. Next up is accessories. Now, Apple is making all the navigation of this headset. They're making it all possible with just your eyes and just your hands. And this is the clicking motion that you do, which, I don't know, this is pretty unsatisfying. So hopefully they do indeed come out with accessories that actually surprised me a lot by not having some sort of controllers or some sort of a feedback device. I would guess all of that is going to be coming. It's just that they already had too much on their plate with the initial launch of the headset. Because the thing is, if you're just going to be viewing content, doing it with your hands is totally fine, right? Just swiping, things like that. Whereas if you would actually want to interact with something like a 3D model, for example, some sort of gloves that you could put on that would then give you some sort of vibrational feedback would be very nice. If you just think of it logically, right now when there's no feedback, you basically have to look exactly at what you want to pick up, and you have to try and pick it up, and it's very not great. However, if you have some sort of a forceful feedback, you can literally be looking somewhere else and your hand can just pick something else up. A hologram, you can just pick up something and you'll know you'll pick it up because your hand will be vibrating because of the glove. Not to mention, sure, this is going to be much more of a sort of creative professional or a business thing, but it would be nice to have a controller as well because it's very nice to have triggers. You could actually shoot guns and stuff like that. So you could sort of mess around at work and do like a local maybe paintball thing with your AR headsets and controllers, because it's just a lot more satisfying to actually click a trigger than just like doing that. So these are my thoughts about the headset. Overall, I'm very excited to see how this thing will turn out in the next year or two. Will this actually bring up the VR revolution that we've been talking about for such a long time? And having more competition in the space for the Meta headsets is also very exciting. So let me know what you think. I'm very interested, and hopefully you have a nice day.